right, can you open your eyes and blink for mom and dad? Are you a rock star? You gonna get better and go home? Yeah. We love you, bud. Don't swear at them.
Toasting to triumphs and celebrating the unbreakable American spirit. Welcome to Choir Practice. Brought to you by Law Enforcement Today.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Choir Practice. I'm Bernie Hallam's co-host, and you are?
You know, I was going to start by saying all of those good morning things, but I don't think the coffee has kicked in yet. I'm Kyle. I'm this guy's co-host. Super excited for this episode because we've got a really good longtime friend of mine out here. This man, Chris, has been serving the community for years. He's a longtime, you're basically family at this point, whether or not you want to admit it. And he is the greatest graphic designer that my team has ever had. He's a man of God. He's a man of family and country. And so we're going to dive into his story here in just a minute. But first, we like to start off every one of our episodes now with a word of prayer. And so, Father God, thank you for the opportunity to come together with these men. I thank you for bringing Bernie into my life and into the life of my family. I thank you for bringing Chris into our lives, and as people will hear his story soon, I just thank you for keeping him safe and healthy and being there with all of his family and helping guide him through that journey. Lord, I ask you to give us the discernment to know how to best tell his story and the story of all of the men and women who come onto this show. We ask you to keep our first responders safe and in your hand, and we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, dude. So I can't even tell your story. What I do want to open with is this. You asked what this was.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a melted candle because it got melted on my trip from DC to Florida and then back here to Connecticut. So I was honored to be on stage this year at the Candlelight Vigil to read the names of fallen officers. And I'll tell you what, I've spoken at events all over the country. I've spoken in front of tens of thousands of people. I've never once been nervous in my entire life. On that stage, in front of the families of the fallen officers, to look out and to see 40,000 candles lit, knowing that every single one of these candles isn't just a piece of wax, it's a life.
It's a life, yeah.
And it was just such a sobering reminder, man. That was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, to be up there, because those 9 words that I said, that it's kind of, I look at that like the dash on someone's tombstone. You have 2 years and you have the dash. And what is that dash? Well, that dash is everything.
Everything, yeah.
Dash is an entire life. And I was so terrified that standing up there in front of 40,000 people, man, I was going to trip and fall or screw up the pronunciation, or like, then you start getting these intrusive thoughts, right? You're like, well, what if I'm walking up to the podium and I fall into the podium and then the podium falls off? And like, you just, I've never been nervous speaking in my entire life, and I was terrified there. And man, I was really reflecting a lot about that time on stage when thinking about you and coming on this show, because so many people went into a life of service, whether it be fire, police, military, and they did so because of just their incredible love to serve. And so many people have made so many sacrifices, and that kind of brings us to where you are now. And so without any further ado, man, can you tell everyone who you are, and let's dive into your story and the miracle that brings you here today.
Sure. Thanks for having me, first and foremost, everybody. I appreciate it. It's great to see you again, brother.
You too, man.
Great to meet you.
You too.
Chris Wahl. I'm, as Kyle said, I'm a graphic designer and also a volunteer firefighter. I was a volunteer firefighter in the town of Simsbury for about 5 or 6 years before I got sick. I had, it started about 2 years ago where I went to go get on the truck for a call, standard call, and I was out of breath. I was like, this isn't like me, you know, I went through the academy at 39 years old. You know, I was telling you, it's the 40-year-old probie with a couple fellow older guys, and we smoked all the young kids at the academy because, you know, age is and wisdom, you know, there's something to be said for it. But about 2 years ago, like I said, I got on a truck for a call and I had shortness of breath. Went to the doctor, and they couldn't really figure it out. They didn't know what was up. And, advanced into so that was 2022, tail end of 2022 into 2023, ended up getting COVID, went to the ER. And while at the ER, they noticed a mass on my chest. And they said we wanted to look a little bit further into that. And it turned out that it was a thymoma, which is a rare type of cancer. And it's on your thymus. So the thymus, they said, okay, the surgeon met with a surgeon down at Yale, and phenomenal surgeon said, we're going to take the thymus out.
Or what's a thymus? I'm sorry.
It controls your autoimmune system.
Okay.
It's pretty much just above your rib cage, your sternum. So we went in, they sliced me open, and they took it out, and realized after they took it out, they biopsied it, it was cancerous. And it was only, from what my sister told me, it was 2 cell thicknesses in length from escaping out of the thymus, out of the thymoma, and, the cancer. So I didn't need chemo, didn't need radiation. I was doing, sticking to walks, and I was walking up to 3 miles a day, doing great, getting my energy back, feeling good, feeling like myself again. And then all of a sudden I started dropping weight, and I had dropped 74 pounds.
Jeez.
Ended me back up in the ER again, with, COVID again. And they had hooked me up to, fast forward like another year. So this spring, they had hooked me up. I had lost so much weight. I was down, I'd started out this whole thing at 220 pounds. I was down to 143 pounds.
Oh my God.
So I was looking a little emaciated. And then they hooked me up to what's called TPN. It's a total prenatal feeding. It's a port that they put in you, and they just pump you full. That's how you get your food. So I had it in my chest here through a Hickman line, and was doing that for about a month. It was getting close to my ideal weight, about 173-ish.
Did you just not have an appetite, or?
Yeah, I didn't have an appetite. It was enteropathy. So what happened is, after the thymoma, it tripped up my autoimmune system, and it kicked my lungs into overdrive. It kicked my stomach into overdrive. All autoimmune stuff. I had alopecia, where my hair fell out. I mean, I had my hair, the whole backside of my head. I'll show you some pictures later, but it was, I laughed about it. I was like, hey, I look like a cougar or something, that the splotchy hair, and my beard, my goatee at the time, when, we can't in the fire service have facial hair. So I took full advantage of that. And I was like, I'm going to just let it grow out. That had started falling out. So a lot of that had started to kind of materialize. And I kind of took a step back and started to work with the doctors and trying to diagnose what was wrong with me, because at this point they still didn't know. And they diagnosed me with interstitial lung disease, bronchiectasis, which is a thickening of your airways, an expansion of your airways, and they don't contract, and it fills up with mucus. Not the most pleasant sounding thing in the world, but it restricts your airflow and restricts your oxygen. Fast forward a little bit further now we're going into, I want to say April of this year. No, February of this year.
Of this year.
So
just 4 months ago.
Yeah. So I had the TPN poured in, and I had to administer it to myself every day. You clean it, sterilize it after every use. My mom had just come over. Kathy was on a call at work, at home, because they're still doing the remote work. And I stood up in my dining room to put the new bag on, the feed bag. And I went as stiff as a board. I was like, something's not right. My arms locked up, my legs locked up. I was sitting in a wooden chair and just slid down the chair. Wound up getting a mucus plug. Again, not sexy in any way, shape, or form to talk about, but my wife came over, it turned me on my side, and I was able to get it up. Another ride to the
mucus plug.
So with the bronchiectasis, your body creates so much mucus to kind of prevent anything from getting into your lungs. And it's a daily regimen that I have to do now, 3 treatments a day of nebulizers. and a vest. I have a vest that kind of vibrates everything loose.
Jeez.
And it's meant to expel that mucus. I wasn't expelling it because of the TPN. I couldn't use the vest because of where the port was and where these plates are vibrating.
Holy cow.
So they took me to the ER, spent the night in the ER. Then a month later, Kathy had gone up to work. Her company's moving up to Boston. So she'd just gotten up to Fenway. And it was a Wednesday morning, I believe. It was April 24th, I think, 23rd, 24th. I woke up, wasn't feeling well, and I was on oxygen at that point. And I called 911, got a hold of the dispatch. I knew the dispatcher. Couldn't breathe. I could barely get words out. And I was, through the fire service and training, they teach you always keep your cool. And at that point, I was anything but cool. I just said, can't breathe, address, back doors open. I have a dog, Mr. Pickles, and everybody knows Mr. Pickles. Everybody in the fire department knows Mr. Pickles. Everybody, they know him. He's infamous. He's the best dog in the world. So they rolled up. Apparently I was still conscious because I was giving information. I thought that they had come in through the back door that was unlocked, and I'd given them the code to the garage. So my buddy rolls up, who is a captain in the fire department, and ambulance rolls up with a medic and EMT on board, and they get up. Pickles brings them right to me, up to the second floor.
Wow.
I don't remember any of it. I don't remember. I blacked out. And then this is where the journey really took a turn. I was rushed to St. Francis Hospital in Hartford. My oxygen saturation was at 50, which at that point you shouldn't be alive. They worked me. They took several hours to stabilize me at St. Fran's in the ER. To the point that they told me afterwards I was the sickest patient in the hospital. Again, still unconscious. They took me up to the ICU. They intubated me. When they intubated me, I'd coded, and I was gone for 2 minutes, which I guess is fairly standard in an intubation process, which I learned once I was in the ICU, and I heard other people getting intubated. So I was out, I was totally unconscious, but they'd called my family in. They called Kathy came back from Boston. My son, who's 13 years old, my folks, I had firefighters surrounding me, and they were bracing, my wife and my family to say goodbye. They said, he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it through the night. In that time, through pictures, like once I woke up, I tried to kind of recount the entire situation and piece things together, but I could hear people, and I heard people saying goodbye to me. I heard friends crying. I could hear my sister talking to me at times. I heard, my sister was rubbing my feet at one point, putting lotion in, and the ICU nurses were phenomenal. I mean, everybody at ICU, at St. Francis in general, everything that they did, and there was one particular nurse whose name is escaping me now, but she took care of me. I was on 9 separate medicines at once. They have, the bags that are up on the wall, and I had 9 of them, to the point that they couldn't see my vitals behind it because I had so much medicine going on. She was putting lotion on my feet, putting lotion on my hands, taking care of me, talking to me, because they say you can always, an unconscious person can hear you. And I'm here to tell you that that's 100% true. Like I said, I heard people saying goodbye to me in the best ways and in the worst ways. And I think the one that hit me the hardest was my 13-year-old son saying goodbye to me. And I could hear it, and I couldn't do a damn thing about it. The way in which he said it was a very specific, a very, very specific way. Like, we have a joke. We tell stories to each other every night. Like every night, every morning we wake up, I love you. Every night, good night, I love you, give me a hug. And we would make up stories about Shaquille O'Neal. And my son was big into capybaras for a while. So we started, okay, we're gonna mix Shaq with anything we could. So we did Shacky Bars and Shaq and the Shaquettes. And, Shaq's the king of Iowa. He picked up a random state. Okay. And the way he said goodbye to me was, don't let the Shacky Bars bite. And I heard that and I was almost in a tunnel and I couldn't do anything to react to it. And it didn't really affect me in that moment. It affected me after the fact. Once I woke up and started to put the pieces together, once I woke up 2 days later. So it was the 27th that I woke up and my brother was in the room. My sister was in the room. My folks had just left. I think Kathy had just left because she had been there. She wouldn't leave my side. And when I woke up, I apparently opened my eyes and my brother was looking right at me and I was pissed. And he said, Chris just opened his eyes. He opened his eyes because the doctors at this point, I'd started to stabilize a little bit and they said, all right, well, everybody clear out. And first thing my sister did was take a video and send it to my folks.
All right, can you open your eyes and blink for mom and dad? Are you a rock star? You gonna get better and go home? Yeah. We love you, bud. Don't swear at them.
And I'll share that video with you guys as well because I don't remember any. I mean, I was so out of it, but I opened my eyes. I could nod, and I tried to talk. I was intubated, and I was trying to fight the intubation. I was trying to fight everything, and so they had to sedate me. But I woke up, and I was in the ICU, and I remember the first thought that I had when I was in the ICU when I woke up was, "This isn't my room." They moved my room, and once they removed my tube, my sister was the first person that I actually spoke to about this. I said, you're going to think I'm crazy, but they moved my room. My bed was on the other wall. She said, what are you talking about, Chris? I said, the room I was in was super bright, and my bed was on that wall, not on this wall. She's like, it's the drugs. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. And the warmth in the room, there, I could see the bed. I could see all the machines. I wasn't in the bed. There was nobody in the room with me, but I could see it. And I had spoken to somebody about this afterwards. I'm not a overly religious guy. I mean, we had spoken about this, big believer in God, but I don't feel like the need to go to church to speak to God. I would always do it. I was a big outdoorsman, big fisherman, big hunter. And I would do it when I was on the water or in the woods or anytime. Didn't feel like I had to go to church. Raised Catholic. And Father Ed Nadolny, getting back to this priest, 91-year-old priest with over 1 million views, 2 million views on social media. He's got the billboards on Route, I think, 9 and somewhere else. Jesus loves you. Yep. He came up and gave me last rites. And he made sure to call it a prayer for the sick. And prayed over me, prayed with my family, brought them into the quiet room that they call it. And I honestly believe that made the difference because all the doctors couldn't comprehend how I came through, how I pulled through, how I woke up. They pulled my parents aside. My parents went down to Panera down in the hospital one day for lunch, and one of the doctors came up and said, there's no way of explaining, like, we have no way to explain it. They just pointed towards the sky. And everything that had to happen perfectly in alignment to get to where I am now to talk to you guys and tell the story. It's otherworldly. But going back to the reflection, so I'd seen myself a mirror image, and apparently it's common in near-death experiences where you see a mirror image of yourself. It's your body, it's your soul leaving the body, and it's you looking back at it. And sometimes you see yourself, sometimes you don't. And the other crazy thing, the other bizarre thing was, as we were there, the first night I was awake, in the ICU, I'd close my eyes, I'd look to my right and close my eyes, and there was the most vivid imagery of, there were people kind of like bebopping and slow dancing, silhouettes, like 3 or 4 people, and they were just kind of slow moving, just relaxed, just kind of moving around. And there were palm trees, but they weren't palm trees, large leaved trees, low hanging. And there was a mist in the air that if you ever walked the beach in the summertime and there's that really heavy humidity and that heavy mist where the light glistens off of it, that's what I was experiencing. And the light, it was almost like a wave. Like if you took a flag and you lit it properly and you'd see that kind of reflection of light. And it was so powerful. There was a stone wall, and in that stone wall, there was an opening, and there was a wrought iron fence, a big fence that came up, and part of it was open, and I couldn't get there. I couldn't get to that fence. I stayed exactly where I was. It was peaceful as anything, and the silhouettes didn't know who they were. They were familiar, though, and comfortable. And after speaking to somebody about it, they said, yeah, that's your spirit guide. Like they said, that's one of them was your spirit guide, and the other one were relatives of yours that were looking after you throughout all of this. And they called out some very specific things about those relatives that I hadn't shared. So to bring it back all together, I was released from the hospital, went through physical training. I'm still doing it. I was off oxygen completely, which is bizarre because I was on oxygen for a year prior. And in the ICU, it was just like, I died and they hit a reset switch. And everybody joked that, okay, you died and your body kind of needed a reboot, just like you reset your computer, reset your phone. There's still challenges every day. I mean, I still have the advanced bronchiectasis and I still have the battles every day, but just to be here to tell the story and to share it with you guys and to share it with everybody, it means the world to me. And it's completely changed my perspective of life and my appreciation for life, and simple things like relationship with my dad. To kind of digress a little bit, my dad was a military guy and very stoic, and I think the only time he hugged me was at my wedding, and I think the only time I hugged him after that was when he went for open heart surgery years later. So I texted him. I was scared to hell to go to sleep when I was in the ICU. It terrified me because I said, okay, when's the other shoe going to drop? Yeah. Am I going to wake up? And I was messaging people at 2:00 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. And I messaged him and I said, Dad, I want you to know that I love you more than anything. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of everything that you've done for our family, and it's okay to cry. And his response back in true typical dad fashion was, I cried. I got it out of my system. He came to visit me on his own when I was still unconscious, held my hand and cried. So to have that relationship, kind of that bond of, or I guess you could say the barrier of, tell people what you mean, tell people how you feel, love people around you, strangers or not. It could make somebody's day. It could change their life. Be positive and don't worry about what's going on around you. Don't worry about the news. Don't worry about the talking heads. Because at the end of the day, all you have is we have one another, right? And we have those memories. And when I was sitting there in the ICU, I wasn't worried about the latest car, or the latest fishing rod, or the latest gun that I could get. It was worried about my health and worried about my family and worried more so about the people I'd leave behind and the feelings that I had towards those people. And I felt I still have that guilt and that anxiety and the regret of putting them through that. And I didn't put them through that. We talked about this as first responders. We're there on people's worst days. And to have that turned back on you was tough for me because we don't want the limelight. We want to help. We want to help. And that's why I joined the fire service. I wanted to help. We moved to Simsbury. I wanted to give back. And that's what it was about. So the one thing I would say to everybody is just look out for one another. You know, all the BS doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's, just look after one another and appreciate the simple things. You know, I sit out in my deck every day with Pickles. We have our coffee and he steals some of it from me. I save him a little bit, and I have a bagel every morning. I give him a little bit, and I'm extremely appreciative. And the perspective that it's given me, has changed me as a person. I don't really know what more to say than that. It's just, I've been given a second chance. I've been given more than a second chance, I feel. And I don't know what that is going to lead to. I don't know. I feel like I was left here for a reason, and everybody tells me that I'm left here. I was left here for a reason. It wasn't my time yet. So I'm kind of curious to see where it goes to next. You know, even with the design work, like I can't work now because of everything that, like, there's no dependent or reliability. One day I could feel great. The next day I feel awful. But I've been helping people through design work, and even with Father Nadali, Father Ed, doing some work for him. And thinking about just how to spread the word of God, but not in an over preaching, you know, again, not reading scriptures, not reading verses. And you had shared with me actually your pastor, which was phenomenal. I mean, that just listening to one of his sermons lit up my day, and it still sticks with me. And I still listen to the you know, his podcasts. So I wanted to thank everybody for give me this kind of platform to talk about it and tell my story. And it's truly an experience that not many people get to go through, but one that I'm grateful for. And it's kind of a badge of honor. And my wife asks me all the time, you know, my sister had sent me some pictures of me in the ICU, her holding my hand, because they thought it was the last pictures that they were going to get of me. She shared it afterwards, and Kathy said, how does that make you feel? And even hearing Nate say goodbye to me, how does that make you feel? I said, it sparks that fire in me. It rekindles that flame in me to get out of bed when I feel like garbage and be thankful for what I have. You know, I can't do 80% of what I used to do, but that 20%, I'm going to rock the hell out of it. And that's where I am.
That's awesome, man. You know, that sermon that I had shared with you. So some people who are on our team know this. I know Bernie does. So we're what we lovingly refer to as recovering Catholics, as we talked about. Born and raised Catholic, went to Catholic school growing up, raised our kids Catholic until really things started shifting for us during COVID.
Right.
When all of a sudden every Catholic church shut down. It wasn't even like streaming or anything like that. All these other churches shut down. I'm like, man, I missed the part in the Bible where there was, and the Constitution, where there was an asterisk that said, like, all things apply unless you get scared.
Yeah.
And so it was Eli Crane, my best buddy in the world, former SEAL sniper, started a company called Bottle Breacher.
Oh, yeah, Bottle Breacher.
Saw
Yeah.
those up there,
Yeah.
turned 50 cal bullets into bottle openers. He's a congressman out of Arizona now. And so Eli, back in probably 2016, 2017, said, yo, you got to check out this church, 1122, Pastor Joby Martin. He's a man's man. Like, he's a dude. He's one of us. And I was like, yeah, but like he's not a Catholic priest. And he was like, no, bro, like just listen to it. And it was such a different experience. And so Joby and I are actually going out to these guys. So pray.com,
Yeah.
they're flying us out to a pastor's retreat in San Diego in a couple of weeks. And we're going to go swimming with sharks and shooting exploding targets out of helicopters and everything. And it's an opportunity for guys to come together to talk about God. And so that sermon that I had sent you, one of the things that I came to realize was that, like, Jesus hated religion, because he even said, man, like, he called out the Pharisees, right?
Yeah.
And called out the religious types. And there's so many people in so many different faiths. I don't care if you're Christian or you're Catholic, a specific sect of Christianity, or you're Jewish or you're Muslim or whatever. People tend to get very self-righteous in this world and forget where to have their eyes and where to have their focus. And it seems like this experience has kind of grounded you, not in religion, again, but in faith. And it sounds to me like the experience that you have working with this priest and even listening to the sermons and everything has given you sort of not just that new lease on life, but a new lease on faith. So where does your faith stand now from where you were before to where you are today?
Leaps and bounds stronger. I feel it's Father Ed gave me rosary, and I pray the rosary every day. I couldn't tell you the last time I did that. You know, I remember going to mass 3 times a week in Catholic school. The nuns would, you know, it was old school. You'd step out of line, the nuns would rap you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, pray the rosary. And it took a while to get like, okay, wait, is it Our Father who art? But how am I forgetting this? I've recited this thousands upon thousands of times. But that to me now is my faith has just grown so much in the sense of not just with God, my connection with God, but my connection with people around me and common decency. And I think it's kind of where we've taken a wrong turn as a society. You know, we're talking about moral compasses, and none of us are perfect. You know, we all have bad days. We've all done our dirty stuff. But the other funny thing was, when I was read last rites, I was absolved of all my sins. And when Father Ed came back to visit me, he said, "What the hell are you still doing here?" 91-year-old priest, like sharp as a tack. "What the hell are you still doing here?" I said, "Hey, I'm not going anywhere. You absolved me of all my sins." And without skipping a beat, he goes, "You're still a son of a bitch." And that to me, I was like, all right, I got a start over. So I'm going to do what I can to talk to people. And again, not in an overly religious way, but just in a common decency kind of way. You know, love thy neighbor, and just be a good human being. And it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to take the energy, the negative energy that you might have. You know, we all gripe about something, and it's usually trivial. You know, with my wife, it might be something that somebody did, a neighbor had done, or something that somebody had said. It doesn't mean anything. You know, my son starts to get upset over something. I'm like, bud, it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. You got your health, you're happy, you got a roof over your head. Be thankful for those things. And thank God for those things.
You know, I think God also puts people in our lives for very specific reasons and for very specific seasons in some cases. And I've been blessed to have this incredible team here, including this guy, to help me course correct. So for years, my wife said to me, get off of the battles on social media.
Yeah.
You've seen me in battle.
Yeah.
I mean, I just enjoyed for a long time eating people's souls, right? Yeah. And then she kind of guided me on that path of it's not worth it. It's not. And to this day, I still have guys like this who have said to me, why? Well, what comes of this? Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of lousy people out there, man. There are a lot of, and then I've got, you know, Chris, our director of cinematography. I've got like Bernie's the angel on my left shoulder saying like, tone it down. And then Chris is like, yeah, go get him. But then she'll also give me that perspective of, at the end of the day, what is that doing to make your life better? Yeah. What is that doing to make you a better person? I've got, you know, my business partner, if I say her name, she's just going to yell at me for drawing her attention, but I'm making eye contact with her over there because she'll be the first person to say, why assign energy to it? Yeah. Why assign energy to something that is just going to suck that joy? That is a phenomenal point. Turn it into white noise. Yep. That's what I tell people. Make it white noise. Yep. Doesn't mean anything. And then we've got this chick over there, Amy, who Amy and I this morning were talking about how, you know, for so long, for years, we've dealt with social media trolls attacking and trying to take you out at the knees. And you kind of get to a point where they give up. And they throw in the towel, and then you're like, wait, what the heck? Why'd you stop? Am I not relevant anymore? Like, why aren't you coming at me? And I think it's finding that that reset. Yeah. And it's incredible that you've been able to do that. I guess the big question I would have for you, man, is what do you want your wife and your kid to take away from this entire experience?
Appreciate the time you have. We just got back from the Adirondacks. We had decided in the ICU, my dad and wife said, okay, we're going to take a family vacation, and it's memories. To me, it's about the memories, and it's the photos and the stories and the laughs and the cries. Those are the things. I look in my phone, and all those pictures are further away from my set of pictures from the ICU. I'll always remember the ICU, and that's kind of my baseline. It's like my death day. You know, it's why I grew my beard. You know, it started in the ICU, and I kind of wear it as a badge of honor now. But to love every day, love each other. There are going to be times where we're going to be at each other's throats. You know, my wife and kid are the same person. My son is exactly like my wife. And it drives me crazy. I'll be sitting there at times. They'll get into an argument. And I just look at the dog. I'm like, Pickles, what are we doing? Let's go outside. I can't deal with this anymore. But I love them to death for it. And, you know, my wife had to make some very tough decisions at that. She was ready to make the tough decisions that I don't think I could make. And people say you're a strong person, you're a strong individual. It's the people that are around you that are strong. You know, it's folks like you, folks like everybody here, and hearing everybody, you're going to hear everybody else's stories and appreciate that and be thankful for that, but also be happy for people, you know, be genuinely happy. Don't give a half-ass smile to somebody. If you're going to give somebody a hug, give them a hug. Make it mean something.
100%.
And I think that it's taking something away from every day. Learn something new every day. Challenge yourself. Push yourself. Even on the days that you feel like you're going to get dragged through the mud, push yourself through those days. And at the end of the day, thank God. You know, every day, every morning, every night, I thank God for giving me the day and giving me the strength and the courage to get through the day. And it makes a difference. It starts to rewire your brain. And I've started to look into different doctors and different practices and meditations. And one of them is Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is all over social media, but just rewiring your brain and how to, we spend 80% of our time thinking about the same things, and most of those are negative.
Yep.
So how do we change it? You know, it's up to us to change it on a personal level. And I think we can do it. We just gotta, you know, you gotta put forth the effort.
Yeah, I think, you know, you're a perfect example of fight the fight, and don't wait until you have a life challenge. You can reset your life at any point in time. And
Absolutely.
we were talking about that. It was funny. I walked in. I didn't know who you were, but I stopped. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah.
I just stopped, and because you have a kind of like, you illuminated to me, and literally I was a captive audience for you for the next 20 minutes as you were telling some of your stories. And what I get out of that is how I try to live my life. Tell people you love them. So what? They don't tell you back.
Yeah.
It's from you.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't say it because I want it back. Because a lot of people, especially if you say it to a guy, a lot of guys are very uncomfortable with that. I don't care. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you I love you because I love you. And
Right.
some of the greatest gifts have come in my life over the last months, over the last years, over the coming days. And you were talking about negativity. And 24 hours ago, I'm laying in a dentist chair and he's doing some dental work. And all this guy can do for 1 hour is talk about his political choice for the election. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, you're cutting my gum because you're so busy. And he got emotional about something. He did this. And I'm like, great. But first of all, this is what you're doing. I'm paying you for you to spew your political beliefs. You don't even know what mine are. Right. Not that I could say anything at this point. Right?
Yeah. You can't talk
after time to say, hey, listen, I don't agree with you. But I'm thinking, why wouldn't you invest your life in better time? Why wouldn't you just take that hour to say, you know, one of the biggest things we don't say to people is, how are you today? Right? Because everything's intrinsically us. And it's like, how are you today? How you doing today? Go shake somebody's hand. My goal every day is, if I'm somewhere, I want to meet a new person.
Yeah.
They don't have to become my best friend, but you just want to touch them by saying, how are you today? Hi, how are you this morning? You know, like, and I've met some amazing people, some through the show. You know, we have our friend Lisa comes down every month. She's awesome. My boy Griff is here today, and we met in January, and that's my family.
Yeah.
That is my family. He'll reach out. He'll be like, hey man, what's up? He takes the time. He calls me one day. He goes, man, I'm going to be passing through Hartford. He lives in New Hampshire. Let's chop it up and have dinner. And I'm like, done. I'm in bed. I'm telling you, I'm in bed. I'm like, I feel like shit. All of a sudden, boom, I feel good. Let's go. And we were talking, and he said this to me, and I'll say it back to him. He's my ride or die guy.
Yeah.
And you take the blessings of what you got. That time I spent with you today, I will treasure until my last breath. Because what you are doing, I don't know if you know this, you're helping other people create their own legacies. I am going to always be a better person because of my time spent with you this morning.
Thank you.
And I can't thank you enough for that. Because one is, you were already my hero because you jump on a fire truck and do stuff. And I love my firefighters to death, right? But it's not what you do, it's who you are.
Yeah.
And who you are and your value to this world and your value of this podcast, and you're taking this time to come here and not say, I'm too sick to do this. You're saying, I'm strong enough to do this. I need to do this. That if people don't realize the value of that, like you said, on your worst day, be grateful for the day.
Yeah.
I thank you for that.
He's also always had this like firefighter fetish. He's got this calendar on his wall and everything.
Bearskin rugs, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
hey, you know.
hey, to each his own.
One of the things that I've always loved about this show is that it's become like a net. I'll never forget, man, calling Eli one day years ago, and I was in a mood, and you know my moves, man.
Yeah.
Calling him up, I'm like, I'm done with liberals. So I'm not going to get political on you, don't worry. But in this moment, this is important. So I'm done. I'm not doing business with them. I'm not hiring them. They're not welcome at my house. I mean, I had an experience, and it was not a good one.
Right.
And Eli, just in very like Southern California, San Diego SEAL style, was just laughing. He was like, bro, you can't do that. I was like, you watch, man. He was like, no, man, you can't do that. I'm like, why not? He goes, because remember, we are called to be fishers of men, not fishers of fishermen. And if all we do is surround ourselves with people who have the exact same beliefs as us, we don't have that opportunity to bring people to faith and to bring them to God. And one of the things that I love about the show is that it's like watching this net be created, and this God used this show to build this incredible network. I mean, I look out at some of the people that we have here today. We have Dan Kerning over there, who served the country, has this incredible company, and we were together in Mar-a-Lago at the Border 911 event with Michael Letts, who's over there somewhere, and his wife Karen, Invest USA. They donate active shooter vests to officers that can't afford them. And now they're going to be working together on a project with Matt, who met Dan on a past episode, and they're rolling out this technology for canine officers. And so to watch all of these different individuals come together and build this net and bring more and more people to it, man, it's super cool. I mean, I look back, I've got Barry Krieger, one of my first mentors ever when I worked in TV, is out here. And to just watch this net that comes together and people continue to connect and network and grow this big screwed up family, this big island of misfits in all the right ways, man. It's a blessing. And, and I'm just so grateful to have you here to share your story. So
I appreciate
shameless plug time, man. What do you want people to know? How can people follow you? Send you flowers or?
Yeah, I kind of get on the social media thing every once in a while. I'm on social media at Wally on Instagram. It used to be fishing posts and family posts and goofy posts. Then it got to a little bit more serious of kind of my journey through my health. And I don't want it to be about that, but there's those stepping stones. Other than that, it's just, be good people, you know, it's surround yourself with good people. And it's funny because my dad always said this: surround yourself with good people and great things will happen. And you say, you know, Griff, it's like, you meet these people and you immediately have this bond with them. And it's infectious. You know, you want to do better. You want to be better, and you challenge one another to do better. And everybody else in this room, you know, I'm proud to call you friends now. And I'm excited to hear everybody's stories and see how down the road, you never know when paths will cross again and how you will work together or talk together, sit down and have a cup of coffee or dinner, break bread, do something together. I don't really have a plug. It's just, I'm thankful for sharing my story with you guys and for having me on. You know, I'm not selling a book. I'm not selling wares. I'm not, it's just me. It's, that's it.
Well, make sure to watch Griff's episode, because you're gonna ugly cry, dude.
Oh,
you're straight up ugly cry. There's nothing pretty about it. It's a powerful story.
He's
man.
got a pretty epic beard back there too.
Does,
It's
beard.
I don't know, that's life goals for me, I think.
Speaking of plugs, speaking of books.
Oh, and before that, because we're just doing thanks, you know, Connor, Gami, right, Chris, Allie, Lori, behind the scenes, man, making this happen. You know, I'm just some retired cop. I'm just grateful to be here with my new family. And I thank you guys so much for, you know, making sure that we can get here and we can share these stories and we can help people out and really try to do the work that help people. That's why I'm here. That's why we're here. And we couldn't do without you guys. So definitely a big shout out to you guys. I love you guys so much. I really do. You know, Chris will call or Allie will call. I've known Allie forever. And you like you. And I just illuminate. You know, probably talk too much. They're probably like, okay, we get off the fucking phone. But, you know, I just cherish that time with them. So I wanted to say thanks.
Connor's only here because Connor knows I'm smoking ribeyes and pork belly cinnamon buns
Connor
for
can
dinner
rock.
tonight.
Hey,
What?
Connor, yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome to come over.
Oh, I'll be there.
Good.
And Connor rocks a mean-ass cowboy hat, too. Yeah,
First thing I noticed.
Yeah. So my plug. My cousin, Sabrina Greenlee, my second cousin, wrote this book, Grant Me Vision. It is an amazing book. It's, you know, I haven't gotten into it completely yet. Her family suffered some horrible atrocities in life, losing her brother prematurely, and then, you know, a lot of family issues that brought her to now. I mean, she's legally blind because of an incident where a woman threw lye on her face.
Jeez.
And is one of the biggest survivors out there. Don't know her well. I look forward to getting to know her much better and hopefully maybe one day getting her up here because she has an amazing story to tell. And again, life stories, right? Life-altering experiences that bring us to today and how we can help and give gifts to people and better survivable skills and better skills to be better people, to love our people better. That's what we need to do. Forget all this divisive stuff, folks. Just tell someone you love them today, okay?
I love you, by the way.
Love you too.
Love you, boys.
I want to shout out. Can you read this shirt to everybody for me?
Dad of girls, send help. Hashtag outnumbered.
Four little girls. Thank you to Warrior 12, our partners over there, for hooking me up with another shirt. I got to tell you, man, so now that we live in Florida, nobody threatens to kill me over the shirts that I wear, but these guys are constantly sending me some swag, and it's pretty cool stuff. They're pretty good talkers. That's how I've met so many friends. When we moved out to Florida, people saw the license plates at first, and they were like, yo. We're like, no, we fled. We fled.
Yeah.
We're the ones that you want in Florida. So now when we see Connecticut, New York plates, I'm like, get out of ours, go back home. But these shirts are quite the talkers. And so thanks to our friends over at Warrior 12 for constantly hooking us up. I also want to give a little plug right now. You guys probably all remember Parler and all the stuff that they went through. They are back and they're better than ever. And the numbers are absolutely exploding. And on a coming up episode, you're going to meet Amy, who, what are you, like the spokeswoman?
Yes, I am.
I can't wait to have you on. I encourage you all to sign up, get accounts on there. You're not going to experience the big tech throttling that many of us have experienced. And so check it out. Download pray.com. It's not a paid plug. That's just, I love these guys. 16 million downloads of an opportunity to be in prayer a little bit every single day. I'm going to shut up now. Love you all. God bless you all. God bless America.
Bye, Mom. Fight Jackie.
Thank you for joining us at Choir Practice. For more, please visit lawenforcementtoday.com.